Hey everyone, this is Chandler Vince at weldingmade.com. Welcome back for the month of April. Let's weld some carbon steel today. So first off, let's go to the bottom right hand corner of the blueprint, double check that you are welding the same project that I'm working on, and we will go right into it and we will figure out what parts we need, how many we need, what parts go where. That way we can understand how to tack this project up. So focus on that top right hand corner of the blueprint. We've got those bubbles there that's got numbers and a 2x or a 1x or a 3x. That is giving that part a number, and it's telling you how many of those parts exist. So we're going to start with number 1, and there's 2 parts of number 1, and it is a 8 by 8 square with 2 radius corners and 2 square corners. There's 2 of them. That's going to be your base plate and that side piece that goes on the back of the project. So part number 2 is this weird looking part here with the Welder Made logo. I don't even know how to classify that as a shape. So we've got us a 2.5 by 6 3/4 piece, and that is number 3. Okay, number 4 is 4 1/4 tall and 6 7/8 wide. It's this piece here. Number 5 is 2 inch by 6 3/4. This piece here, that's the skinniest piece of the project. Number 6 is a 4 7/8 by 6 3/4. And then number 7 is a 2 3/4 by 6 3/4. And that's going to go on that angled piece of number 2. Okay, number 8, these rectangle pieces, it's going to go on top of the project that have the bevel on both sides. Well, each piece has a bevel. 2 of them come together to make one piece. You should have 10 pieces to this project. I'm going to go ahead and count mine. 10. Okay, I've got 10. I'm ready to go. So for cleaning these parts, they come to you really clean with that laser cut edge and all the prep work we do to them. You very rarely have a burr or any dross on the backside, but go through your parts, make sure that there's not anything on the backside that you could absorb into your weld pool that can contaminate your weld bead. So I'm going to go right into tacking mine. When it comes to the bevel, you're welcome to put any sort of root face that you want on there, also known as a landing. I'm going to just put a very, very light, I'm going to run across it very lightly with my flapper wheel, just do a little hair, probably the thickness of a penny, and then we'll get started. Okay, so now that we are done cleaning, let's tack parts 8 together. That is the 2 pieces with the bevel. Okay, now that those 2 are tacked together, we're going to transfer over to the easy tack. Okay, we are starting by tacking together parts 2 and 8. Okay, now that we have those 2 put together, we're going to work our way down the assembly. So we're going to start with, that'd be part number 3. Okay, we're going to reach it all the way, wrap it all the way around and go to tack part 5 underneath part 3. Okay, so now we have that assembly tacked all the way around. We've got parts 8, you got part 3, and then we also have part 5 tacked on there. So this assembly is almost ready to go. I'm going to set it aside for just a minute. Okay, so now we're going to tack parts 6 and 7 together on the easy tack. Use these rubber clamps that come with the easy tack tool. Okay, so the angle on these two parts are not a 90, but now that they're tacked together, I can just bend them a little bit. Until they line up for the angle they need to be. So, now that those are tacked together, we're going to tack both of our base plates together here on the Easy Tack. These plates are really big and heavy, so I'm going to use a set of vice grips for these plates. Make sure it's the two squared end corners that go into that overhead corner joint. Take these two pieces, flip them over, let it just sit there, and we'll line them up. And those are good to go. So now is the back of your project and the base plate tacked together now. So now that all those are tacked together, we're going to get rid of this Easy Tack, get on the workbench, and finish up tacking up the assembly. We have the two number ones tacked together. We have our main assembly tacked together. Everything's on there except for part number 4. That'll come here in a minute. And then we have parts 6 and 7 tacked together that are bent to the right angle to go to the project. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use part 4. I'm going to set our 6 and 7 on it, and that will get it at the right height to tack on to our corner joints. Okay, that whole assembly is done except for part number 4. We're going to slide that in there right now. Okay, so now that this whole assembly is tacked together, I'm going to lay it flat and I'm going to grind any of these tacks or high spots on this side. That way it butts up nice and flat to plate number 1. Okay, now you got your two number 1s and the main assembly. You can go ahead and just set it right in there. Center it. Okay, that is how you tack up this project for the month of April. Let's go ahead and get all these tacks cleaned up a little bit and we'll start welding. Okay, before we start any welding, go ahead and look at your nozzle. Make sure that there's not a lot of spatter buildup on the inside. Make sure it's nice and clean. Make sure you got a nice clean contact tip. And a new contact tip if need be. These projects can be welded up with flux core, stick, or MIG. Today we're going to be using MIG, just regular solid wire, constant voltage CV MIG. I'm going to weld this butt joint up top very first, and then I'll cover it up with this horizontal outside corner. And then I'm going to drop over here, do this outside corner on both sides of the project. And then I'm going to do this overhead outside corner. And then that is all of our horizontal and flat welds. Then we can tie all their stop starts in together with these vertical corner joints. Let's get started. Okay, now this really outside skewed fillet, it's way more open than a corner joint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a stringer bead on the bottom half, and I'm going to do a 2 bead cap. So I'm going to do a bead on the bottom, and I'm going to cover it with a bead on the top. So there's going to be 2 stringer beads. Okay, I've got the flat butt joint welded. I've welded around these outside corners all the way around. Now I'm going to jump down here and weld this overhead corner. Okay, now that all of those overheads are welded, I'm going to weld up these vertical corners, and then we'll do these vertical fillets around these outsides, and then we'll tie everything in on the base. Alright guys, now that all this assembly is welded, I'm going to tie it in by doing all these vertical fillet welds all the way around, finish up with that flat fillet weld, and then we'll finish up by tying in everything on the base. Now that all the vertical fillets are welded, I switched my machine over to pulse. If your machine's not pulse capable, that is just fine. Do whatever you need to practice where you are at in your career. It could be stick, it could be MIG, it could be MIG pulse, it could be flux core. You could TIG weld the whole thing if you want. But right now, I'm just doing a variety of different things to show you that it's possible to weld more than one process on this project. Okay guys, that is it for the steel subscription for the month of April. This project was awesome. There's a lot of weld practice on here, a lot of outside corner practice, and a lot of fillet weld practice. I like this project. This project's going to be really challenging. It's also going to give you a lot of practice. Make sure you focus on the things you know you need to do. Try to keep that base plate flat on the table. Make yourself weld these welds out of position, and that'll help you overall be well-rounded as a welder. And that's why we're here, and that's why Welder Made exists. We're here to help you. If there's anything you need from us, any questions you have, please contact us at weldermade.com. Until then, we will see you next month. Thanks.